regular guest on Fridays, and we got Justin Cambra, W2 to Freedom. And as we know, yesterday he's traveling still yet. So we tested out the Wi-Fi yesterday, so should be working all good. But morning, everyone.
Good morning.
My
Uh,
Instagram tells me it's connected on here. I wonder, I'm trying to, this is the first time in like 2 months it's worked.
Mine's not coming up right now. I don't know why. Maybe I gotta I'll try to set it up again. But yeah, I think today's topic will be interesting. And if we do have time, I think maybe Emily and Justin want to touch on some other things. But if not, it'll be a separate topic. But there's been a lot of videos I've seen recently about the buy, borrow, die kind of topic strategy, if you want to call it. I know Coach Carson did one with Rob Abasolo recently. I know Zuber and Dion did one recently, but so a lot of people are talking about. Did you guys get a chance to check out the videos, or?
I got through part of it.
Okay. Have any
Yeah,
of
what's
you?
the
Is that
multiple
kind of
videos on it?
have you guys thought about this process also, or have you guys done any 1031s, or maybe so? Emily, maybe you can go first.
Okay. So I have not done any 1031s yet, but that's because my rentals that I have purchased, I have good interest rates right now on my rentals and they cash flow well. Some of them I have had for a while with shorter term mortgages. So they just make sense to hold on to. I kind of have like this little couple I have like 10 that I'm like, those are going to stay. And I buy some and I think, okay, I could flip this or I could rent it, but usually I decide when it's done being renovated. And so obviously you can't 1031 flip property. It has to have been a rental property. You can't, just buy something and then 1031 it in, whatever short amount of time. So I have not done the 1031 thing, but I have really, like, when I weigh the numbers, every time I do something, I think about how much more am I eking out if I'm going to flip this, or if I just do the burr and keep it as a rental. And it kind of goes by the property. Like, I think sometimes you have an association with the property where you go, I don't like this neighbor. I don't want to keep this one, or this has been not a fun area. And so I think about this when I think about, do I burr it and keep it, or do I and just recycle that money, recycle that line of credit because you put it into traditional financing. But I haven't participated in a 1031. Have either of you guys done many of those?
I've done 4 of them so far.
Okay.
In the last, pretty much every other year I've been doing one. And most of the time, when I was building the portfolio, I was taking money from Washington and putting it into the Midwest. The last couple that I've been doing is inverse. The Midwest has gone up. I'm taking that cash flow and I'm moving that now back into, I'll call it greater Seattle area, within 1 hour of Seattle. And each time I'm doing that, that is it's not necessarily borrow till you die, but it's rolling. It's similar in terms of it's pushing out the tax implications. So when I do, and some of these I've actually sold a couple properties multiple times. I shouldn't say multiple times. I took 1031 money and bought something. Then that property later on I 1031. So like the deferred tax is starting to build up on some of this. But if I never sell it and take the cash, if I keep 1031ing it or borrowing against it, I'll never have to pay tax on that. It would then, at some point, whoever gets it at that point in time, they get it at what the market rate is at that time.
And if they're getting something for free, that's their problem.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, if I've trained them right, then they would do the same thing. They would, keep rolling it forward and not pay the tax on it. Just extract as much money out as possible.
Do you have kids?
No kids. I'm gonna have most of mine would go to my brothers, and then the nieces and nephews would be the next level down.
I got it to work on Instagram. So I want to say that real quick.
It popped up when you were talking.
Nice.
It popped up on my notifications that
You know what I think I have to do now is it doesn't. I have to, because before I used to set it up before we went live. Now I have to do it like while we're live and then start it. But okay, cool, good to know. But if anyone is on Instagram, I saw Caleb there. Just come on over to the YouTube side. I also want to mention, it looks like Emily and Justin are both streaming on their YouTube channels also. So if you can jump over there, subscribe and like. We're trying to get Justin's what is it, the watch hours up also, right? Because he has a goal
Mhm.
this year with his Instagram, his social media to get what 10,000 was it followers you said or altogether? Yeah,
Between Instagram and YouTube, yes.
nice.
And I just subscribed to Emily's channel, so she's one higher today.
Well,
So and you're
I'll go
yeah,
subscribe to.
you're there
Yeah,
you go.
she.
Yeah, you're 3 times higher than me because you're like 110. I'm like 30 something. So it starts slow and then it increases at increasing rate. It's just like building a real estate portfolio.
YouTube's hard. I just started that new YouTube channel and it's a grind to get it to
Yeah.
grow. I feel like a lot of people watch, and I'm the same way. I will watch people's channels and remember them and go back to them, but I don't subscribe. And so I try to
Hmm.
remember, okay, if I like this person, I need to subscribe because that's what I would want.
Exactly.
Also quickly before we move on, I don't know if did Cody Evers reach out to you yesterday, Justin? I remember you guys were talking about he would want to some properties, possibly getting some deals done on the live stream. So we'll get
Oh.
Cody connected with you. But Brady Morgan, I'll put his channel also in the chat soon. But he did come out with a book recently, Never Sell, and he is saying though, I can't help but laugh with everyone talking about this borrow till you die stuff. All of a sudden, I spent the last year developing my never sell strategy based on this concept. Heard nothing till now. So yeah, go check out his book. I'll put his channel link in the chat. He has discussed the topic. It's kind of a yeah, buy, borrow, die. He uses a 15-year mortgage kind of concept, and by year
Hmm.
15, you'll have your first property paid off. Now you borrow from that, and it's just recycling that in a sense, in an easy way to put it.
I love
But
it.
yeah, I think I think a good question. I think the big thing is people are, uh, you know, the whole debt paying down debt too is coming into play
Hmm.
now, right? So the whole buy, borrow, die, that's where the pushback comes from. And Emily's got a lot of traction on one of the reels. She mentioned Dave Ramsey, right? So Dave Ramsey is the no debt type of person, right? So how does this buy, borrow, die kind of strategy you think we're gonna probably get a lot of pushback, right? So do you think it works for everyone, or how should people look at this kind of idea, you think?
You got to know yourself. Like anything, I think every strategy we talk about, whether it's you need to be more aggressive, you need to be more cautious, you need to be self-aware before you can make any decisions. And if you know you can't be responsible with debt, we're not getting a HELOC to go buy a boat. We're not getting a line of credit, commercial line of credit from your bank to go buy a Corvette. Are you going to reinvest that money where you can put it back into stable debt in some sort of a way and make an asset out of it? And so I had somebody on the Instagram post when you mix that up into a reel or short, whatever they're called on Instagram. And they said, something about debt as a benefit, Emily, or debt as an asset. And I think in their mind, they thought consumer debt. It's even if you are doing a HELOC to renovate your kitchen in your primary home, and then you're just going to keep that HELOC, those are high interest rates. That's stupid. But like, if you're using a line of credit to buy an investment property that then you're going to sell and then you're going to pay off that line of credit, or if you're using a line of credit to buy a property that's not financeable and then you're going to stabilize it into a conventional fixed rate debt, I feel like lines of credit, anything like that, are meant to be used short term and then put them into stable permanent debt. But I think people just think consumer debt. And so if you know, if I pull that money, I'm going to spend it and use it on something stupid, then don't. That's not for you if you don't have that self control. But if you're an investor who knows what you're doing and you make wise decisions, I've said this before and I'll say it again. If I had to wait until I could have bought my whole first rental property in cash, I that would have been forever, because the amount of money I have now is because I was able to buy more rental properties with debt. And so I think it's, guys, ignorant to say debt's bad, debt's stupid. Again, unless you're a super, super high earner, it's just not going to happen for you unless you use debt responsibly.
I do want to give Caleb a shout out. He's on Instagram. He was on a couple weeks ago, First Responder Finance. So go check him out on Instagram. But he's giving his firefighter approach to debt, or description of it. He says debt is like fire, a great tool, but if you don't respect and understand it, you can and will get burned. Yeah. So yeah, Justin, you did mention you have done some 1031s. I've done one also, but looking back on it, would you do the 1031s again, or would you maybe go in a different direction? How would you have handled it today? Because I know today you're kind of consolidating your portfolio, right? And you're kind of changing things a little bit. So looking back on it, would you do those 1031s again?
Oh yeah, 100%. 1031s are magical in my mind, right? Because you can, um, the more you can keep the government's hands out of your pockets, the faster you can grow. And so that's, in essence, what we're doing. The 1031 keeps Uncle Sam out of your pockets, right? So, in hindsight, there's been some where I didn't do a 1031, and I probably should have, but it was where I was trying to sell a bunch of properties at once. And this was in 24 phase where I was selling like 15 all at one time. The goal was to divest out of partnerships. So when you're dealing with other partners and timings and decisions, I just said, let me just take that money, roll that into, take the cash and then redeploy it. The ones where they were my properties 100%, I did 1031, those ones. But if you, when you're doing these 1031s, there's a lot of rules that you have to follow, and there's no gray area. It's, you have to do it exactly by the book. Hence why you have to get a third party intermediary. And so I wish I would have done more to answer your question, because they're an easy way for you to avoid Uncle Sam getting in your pockets, taking all your money.
The funny thing though is we're talking about buy, borrow, die, and it seems like we keep talking about 1031 though. And it's kind of that is not the only way to buy, borrow, die. And for example, we had Jonathan from Convoy Home Loans on our Pittsburgh call yesterday for school in our Zoom. He's a lender. And Emily was kind of bringing up a question of hard money, kind of a bridge loan type of thing. And he recommended, hey, if you have a HELOC that you're already using, that might be better for your scenario, right? So, Emily, in your case, is that kind of your strategy too, using the HELOC as this kind of borrow strategy? Not necessarily die, but I mean, buy, borrow, and increase your assets?
I mean, die's everybody's strategy, right? If not, you're wrong. Yeah, so I guess it's not necessarily a HELOC, but I recently have started doing just a line of credit. I have investment properties that are not paid off, but have a good amount of equity in them. So just went to the commercial division of my small local bank and asked if I could do a line of credit against the equity I have in some of my other properties. And so that's kind of what I was mentioning earlier. The decision then is I can buy a distressed property. So for people that don't know, if a property, those properties you see that are 40, 50, $60,000, those are not financeable properties generally. They're in a condition such that a traditional mortgage broker, conventional FHA, is not going to lend on them. They don't meet the minimum loan standard. And so you have to be able to buy them in cash or a rehab loan. And with a foreclosure company or a distressed seller, cash is faster. And so they're gonna pick that option every time. And so if you can get a line of credit, you can buy those properties quickly and appease the sellers, and you can get them under contract, and then you can either renovate them and flip them, which is mostly what I'm doing right now. I'm taking a little respite unless I find something that's great for a rental to buy and hold, but I'm buying them and then I'll sell them. Or if part of the way through them, the market shifts on me and I decide to retain them as rentals, then they'll be financeable when I'm done. And I will just keep them as rentals, put them into conventional loans, or like you like to do, DSCR loans once I run out of conventional loan options, because you can usually only have 10. And or something different, maybe something commercial or whatever. And then I'll pay back the HELOC or it's not a HELOC, the line of credit, because it's not my home. It's not my primary home. It's an investment property. And so maybe it's still a HELOC, maybe. I don't know. It's on an investment property, not my primary residence. But then I'll pay that off and put it in stable fixed rate debt that's a lower interest rate. And then again, when another property comes up, I'll just recycle that line of credit. And you only pay interest on it while you have money out. So for instance, I'm doing 2 flips right now. When I sell one, I'm just going to pay back the line of credit until another one comes back up. Then I'll use that to buy something else. If it doesn't, then once I sell the second one, then the next one I'll be able to buy in cash and not have to use line of credit until the second or third one comes back up. So the nice thing is you're only paying interest on the money you have out. So if you don't need to pull it all, or you need to pull portions of it or pay portions back as you buy and sell, it's just revolving. You can continue to use it, but it's just a nice tool.
Sorry, I know
Oh,
Justin has an example, but before I know Cody had a question. Sorry, he said, is there a minimum? Shoot, where did it go? Was there a minimum
amount to do a
threshold? Yeah,
1031?
on a 1031. Sorry, I skipped over that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would just kind of a ballpark number. Maybe it's around 50,000 would be my, kind of ballpark number. To do a 1031, you're time bound, so there's some risk there. There's cost that goes into it. Typically, it's around 1,500 plus or minus. Now, for me, I was buying or selling one and buying multiple, and so every time you do multiple purchases, there's incremental cost. So, like my first one, I sold one, bought six. So that was like, almost like 3,000 or something, because the 1031 intermediary has more work that they got to do. So if I'm only doing 20,000 and it costs me 3,000, that's chewing up a good portion of the money you're going to be making there. So I would just wait longer, get more value by appreciation and pay down to where 50K is going to give you a good chunk of money too to go buy something else. 25K or less, depending on your market. You'd have to be somewhere in the Midwest to get something where you could buy for 25K down. Even in like Seattle area, you're going to need at least 50,000, if not 100,000, to try to buy something in a suburb, half hour out of Seattle.
Yeah, I think it's more. I think he's talking more minimum threshold of if it's worth doing, and I think to that point it just comes down to, I wouldn't do a 1031 just to defer the taxes. So it's more, if you have a property that you want to acquire, then any amount 1031 will make sense, because you are going to defer some of the taxes. But if you're just doing the 1031 to try and defer the taxes, then that's where maybe you can get into a property that maybe you didn't really want, and you're letting the tax tail wag the dog, as they would say, right?
Right. What I do, I think I've brought this up before, but for new people who have turned in, for me, when I'm doing a 1031, I take the risk out of the 1031 because I have multiple properties already on a lease with the option to purchase, which allows me to avoid the stress around 45 days to notify what property. I think right now I have at least 3 properties that are on a lease with the option to purchase. So when I'm going to sell some properties, I can always put 1, 2, or 3 of those properties on my identified property list, or I can just put one of them and then go look in the market, see if I can find something better that I want. If I don't, then I can fall back on something that I already have in place. So a couple of the 1032 of the 4, I believe, were sold properties, exercised my option to purchase on existing properties I had control of already.
That's way smart.
Yeah. What happens is when you start doing these, you're like, there's got to be a better way, right? So like almost all the stuff that I've done is like, I want this thing, but I don't have the time or money, the resource and knowledge to get the thing. So I've got to figure out another way to do it. So what ended up happening, the way I came up with this originally was, I needed to buy something from this person, distressed seller. I could get a sub 2 deal on a 16 unit in Iowa. I'm like, crap, I don't have the money right now. But I'm like, I just heard about on YouTube, I could cross collateralize against another property. It's like, oh, okay. Well, then how would I structure the 1031? And how can I control the timeline? I'm like, man, what if I just did? I remember the day I was in the shower and I'm like, what if I just did this lease option and then cross collateralized? And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go call my exchange company. And then later that day, they're like, yeah, I don't see why you can't do that. That's a brilliant idea. I'm like, done, solved. So locked up the lease with the option to purchase, went to my friend, borrowed 75K against another property, then took that money, then exercised the option to purchase to buy the property. So the seller of the 1031 or the property in Iowa wanted to get out, and she wanted to sell like right now. If I didn't engage with her right then, she was going to sell to somebody else. So I was able to lock that up, then go find the money, then exercise the option purchase via the 1031.
Awesome.
Where there was one more. Provestors. Oh, I think I've seen you here before, but thanks for stopping by. But it says, have you tried seller financing with low value property below threshold? I think that's Justin's alley.
100%. I've done a couple of these. One of them was extremely low, and this would be an alligator property. So I know Zuber would say no to this deal. So there's a lady had already bought seller finance.
Quickly. So maybe Provestors isn't a big Zuber or one rental at a time. Can you explain quickly what an alligator might be?
An alligator is where your expenses are greater than the income. So if you get $1,000 of income, let's just say the expenses is $1,500. So every month you're losing $500 a month. So alligator in terms of it's like biting your cash flow. So this property that I got, it was a lady who had already sold me, a seller finance property, and that's the easiest spot to get more seller finance properties. So she said, "Hey, I got this other property. You probably don't want it. It's in Detroit." And I'm like, "Oh man, I already own properties in Detroit. Tell me more." And so I talked to my property manager. I was like, "Hey, first, will you manage this if I buy it?" And he gave me the green light. So then she had already seller financed it to somebody, and she was foreclosing on this person. So it needed a little bit of work to be done. So in my solo 401k, I ended up buying this property. And what I ended up doing, because she wanted to get out of it quickly. So we agreed upon $25,000, and it was $1,000 down, $1,000 a month for 24 months. And the rent on it was $800. So every month I was losing money on it, but this was in my retirement account, which, I had, plenty of money in there because it was only for and so I ended up moving forward with that. And, if you're thinking about that, the interest rate, when I'm talking to sellers like this, is I never mention interest rate. That specific example is actually at 0%. So that's like the best type of debt you can get. In a perfect world, it's longer, but in this one, it was 2 years interest free, $24,000 note.
That's awesome. And I think when you have a property like that, obviously depending on the market and the area and Detroit and all that and the condition, but you can take a loss for 2 years, right? I guess maybe not on your first property if you didn't have a job, but if you're still working or if you have other income producing properties, there's a time and a place to have that paid off in a couple of years. Why would you not? It's seller finance. It's yes, even if it's an alligator property, even if it's a bit of a loss, that 100% made sense to do it the way you did it.
Chris Webb, who is making excuses why he may not be able to come to Vegas now after buying his tickets. He does say, though, I sold to a 1031 buyer in Texas, and 6 months later, it was back on the market. HOA didn't allow non-lived-in rentals. Always check your CCRs. Yep, so very important. Sorry, Justin, did you dig into the exam, or you want to talk about? I know you.
Yeah, I have a real world example right now, and this relates to the, effect borrow till you die. So for those who've been following my journey, you've heard about my short plat where I'm taking one property with 2 houses on it, splitting it into 3. So should be done, in the next week. So then I'll sell the 2 existing houses. Now I'll have a free lot. Now the question I have is, I can easily put a manufactured home on that free and clear lot for $200,000. Probably sells for $400,000. Now that would net me $200,000, but now I got to pay tax on that, right? So roughly, I would be able to take $150K cash in that scenario, assuming a 25% tax. Now, separately, I could do that same manufactured home, $200,000. It's probably worth about $400,000. If I get a 75% loan to value, I can pull a $100K loan out of that. So either I get $150K net after tax, or I can get $100K no tax. So I'm debating which one to do. I think I'm doing the manufactured home build to rent, if you will, like the guy that's on your channel every week. But now I'm like, well, what if I did a duplex build to rent? Now I wouldn't be able to pull out as much cash. There's not as much spread there. But is that better in the long run? Part of me, because I'm like, do I really want to build to rent long term a manufactured home? Now, quality nowadays is better than when they were originally being built, but I'm like, it might be a short term play, or maybe I have it maybe 5 years, then I roll and 1031 it into something bigger and better.
Just he'll probably kill me if I don't say anything. That's right. So Brandon's name is not Build to Rent anymore. It's Building Wealth Flow. He changed his YouTube channel name, so it's not Build to Rent. He says he thinks people are having a hard time following him or understanding the brand, so he changed it to Building Wealth, or Building Wealth Flow. So yeah, just throwing that out there. But yeah, we'll dig into this after. I know we talked about it the other day about being able to pronounce the Hawaii state fish. So we'll do that after. Did you look it up, Emily?
I did like months ago when you first mentioned it, but I haven't recently. I forgot.
Yeah.
Hold
Yeah,
on.
Harrison threw it in the chat. I'm not sure if Justin, because Justin was this year. He comes here yearly almost, but I don't know if he knows what the Hawaii state fish is or how to pronounce it or spell it actually.
Oh, isn't that one's like huma huma nuka nuka wapa wapa or something like that?
Yeah.
Some huge
yeah.
Huge name.
Good, hey, pretty good though. Good job. Let's see. Did I see it? No, okay. So I think the one thing too that always comes up with this buy, borrow, die strategy is people think it's rigged in a way, right? The system is rigged, right? So I think that's the thing that people don't quite understand, that these type of things is written in the tax code and it's there for everyone to use for their benefit. And I forgot to start this off saying that we are not giving tax advice, and so go definitely speak to your CPA or financial advisor about these type of products or tax codes out there. But I think that's the one thing, right? People are always pushing back, like it's not fair, the game is rigged, it's illegal, things like that. So have you guys had people push back on? I'm sure Emily probably has some people on social media pushing back on these type of topics or discussions, right? No,
I'm just laughing because everybody hates me on your Instagram.
Not hates you.
Say
to engage with you
on it. Well, I loved that. I think Chad Carson posted it, but it was a quote from Rob on there, and I saw this before you even sent me the link, and he said everybody has access to the same tax rules. You can use them and take advantage. When I say take advantage, I just mean use it, right? Anybody has the same rules and anyone can use them. It's whether you choose to educate yourself or not. So if you want to be ignorant of what's available to you and use that to blame for why you're not successful, then that's your own fault. It's not like everybody gets separate rules. And so I loved that. I think I reshared it actually. And it's just, people just want to be ignorant and have someone to blame for not being successful. Like, then learn and use it too.
Yeah, it's I believe this is from Tom Wheelwright, the Tax-Free Wealth book. It's just the way you look at it. Most people say the tax code is how the government takes taxes from you. The flip side is the tax code is how to figure out not how to pay tax, right? So if you look at it that way, the tax-free wealth way, it's literally set up in your favor to tell you, if you do this, you don't pay tax. So all we're doing is reading these codes and not paying the tax.
Gus is asking, what would you do with the 100K refi or the 150K sale?
So he's saying if you were
No,
I was just saying, he's just saying why would you have something you could actually do with having that larger amount of money? Or is it like, yeah, it doesn't make that much of a difference. Maybe I should leave that in the deal.
Short run, I actually have a line of credit at 97,000 right now. So I would pay that down while I'm looking for whatever I'm looking for. Now, if I had some, typically it's as soon as I have money in the account, boom, it's gone, right? So right now, short term, I just put it in there, then that way I'm not incurring any interest on the HELOC while I'm waiting to buy something. Then as I find something, or, worst case scenario, I could go exercise one of my lease options if I needed to or wanted to. But all the lease options I have right now, the one is at like 5.75. The rest are like net below 3% between the seller finance component and the mortgage on it. So it's like I'm gonna ride those out into the end of the option period.
Provestors is asking, can you sell the manufactured home and keep the land and lease it to a manufactured home buyer?
Yeah, 100%, totally. Yeah, because when you go into these manufactured home communities, a lot of them tend to be like 55 and up. They're paying like, and this is specifically in Greater Seattle. Kind of low end would be like 500-600. High end is closer to 1,000. So yes, could I own the land and then have them own the house on top of it? Yes. I'm more of a control guy. If I own the house and the land, then I have more options. If that was to where I could put like, let's just say 100 of them on it, that's a different story. And that's way easier to manage. If you could have 100 of those, you'd have to, I'm assuming you would be in charge of all the water sewer utilities hookup. That to me would sound super appealing. But if it's only one, I'm going to own the building and the land.
Joe V says he's stopping by to say hi. He says, love having Emily and Justin on. And I also want to give a shout out to Gus, who I forgot to mention. He's consistently helping set up some live streams for me. And I think he's also putting Emily in contact with people for her YouTube channel and some interviews. So Gus, thank you for that. He actually got Welby a silly on Emily's channel and my channel. So if you haven't seen that one, go check out the live stream from Sunday. That was a great one that Gus put together for us. So that was a lot of fun. Sean Lambert, he's saying our daughter was about 5 when she learned how to say humu humu nuku nuku apua. So that's pretty impressive. So I don't know if Emily's ready to give it a shot or what, but maybe we'll wait a little bit. Let's see. Cody does have a question. He says, would you sell a duplex with good equity and a low interest rate and 1031 it into a bigger building? You'd lose a very good asset, but potentially be able to grow your wealth. Who wants to tackle this first?
I can take a shot at it. If I don't want to own that property in 5 or 10 years from now, that might be a good reason to sell it and then roll into a bigger deal. If I like that asset long term and good equity to me, I would imagine that's like 50% loan to value. I would just borrow against it and then do a new loan, extract that value, and then roll it into the bigger one.
Emily, any thoughts for you?
I think it just depends on what do you want? This is like the answer to everything. It depends on what your goals are. Maybe you want to have 5 paid off properties, right? Or maybe you're trying to get to a certain amount of cash flow and that's going to get you there faster by either selling it or not. Sometimes you're going to sell good assets for increasingly better opportunities in the long run. And so I think you just have to look at what your goal is, what your strategy is, what you want. You might have to sell something you like to get your hands on something better, just because you can't. Again, if you don't have an unlimited stream of money, you can't always keep it all. So you just kind of got to know what you're aiming for.
On that one too, you could also do what I was doing on that earlier example. You could cross collateralize that. Let's just say it's 400K, right? And you have 200K. You could go to a friend of yours, a private money lender, go borrow 100K from that. So you keep your mortgage in place. You're saying it was low interest in that scenario. Get that 100K, go buy that new property with the 100K. Now you got to figure out how to pay that 100K back to your friend. Now, depending on those loan terms, if it's long enough, you can just the new property take that cash flow to pay that 100K back to your friend.
I think what was interesting too. So I do a weekly. No, was it with Zuber? Yeah. So I do a weekly video with Zuber, and one of the comments was someone kind of hating on him that Zuber is getting rid of his low interest rates on some properties to cash out and refinance to get dry powder to deploy on other things. So the person's like, oh, I thought you said, the low interest is an asset and all this type of thing. So they're kind of hating on him. But there is this individual that always comments on a lot of Zuber's videos, and he's you can tell he's very intelligent. But his name is Punakar. But he took a great breakdown of it, and he was like, it kind of depends on how much that debt is there. So if you have a low interest rate, but you only have maybe a 20,000 left on that mortgage on a $500,000 property, how much is that interest worth to you anymore, right? So that's how Punakar was looking at it, where yes, the interest rate is low and important, but it also matters on how much debt is on the property. And so that's the way it's kind of unique. That's why it's interesting to read through the comments. You really get a breakdown to see a lot of people's thought process on how they handle things. John Williams, our Escape the Rat Race journey, says, here's a question I'm noodling. Rental property is at 53% LTV and 3.5 APR. HELOC to pull up. And 3.5 APR HELOC to pull out 60K and get to 70% loan to value at 8.5% or flat refi. Wait, hold on a second.
Do you guys know, and I don't because I've just done that line of credit through my commercial guy at my bank. If you do a HELOC, does it recycle? Can you just use it, pull what you need, pay it back, pull what you need, pay it back? You only pay interest while you have it pulled out?
Yeah, typically, yeah.
You need to make sure you specify that, because you can do a fixed amount HELOC. Let's just say in this scenario you pull out 60K. You can do a fixed amount, which years ago when it was 3-4%, that's a good idea. Nowadays with the rates that are going down, you're better off getting what's called a revolving. That way you can take the money in and out at the same time your interest rate is dropping.
So both are an option probably for this person.
Yeah.
I just like the idea that you can use it when you need it and not when you don't. And then you can put it into stable financing. Or, I don't know what your goals are. If you want to buy a rental or if you want to buy a flip or you're trying to rehab something you already have. But I just like the idea if you have a good interest rate. I don't think you're going to see 3.5 again on a house. And so I like the idea of the revolving line of credit, but I think it depends what your goals are and how soon you can pay that money back or not.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it just like anything, it depends on where you're at in your journey. And a lot of it comes down to how disciplined you are, right? As long as you know that line of credit you're not going to be using it like a credit card and traveling and paying for your trips and things like that. And then you have this debt on that added debt to that property. So, I definitely like the HELOC from a standpoint on you can, recycle it, use it when needed. You're not going to typically get charged interest unless you have a balance on it. But I think the one thing sometimes, and Zuber's approach to it is if you do have a HELOC and you're going to use it to buy the next property, he wants to see it repaid in, I believe, like 12 to 18 months. So if instead of, you're not going to buy like a turnkey property where you're only making $250 a month kind of thing, because you'll never basically pay back that or it take a very long time, right? So he'd rather you use it for like a burr or a flip where you're going to get that capital back quicker and then pay down or get rid of that HELOC at in 12 months or so. Let's see what else.
It's always good to have, if you can get the HELOC, it's typically low cost. So I bet you, especially if you're with a credit union, some of these they'll do an online appraisal, and it may not even cost you $1, right? So if you can get access to credit to have dry powder for whenever you need it, it's amazing. Like when you have dry powder, how many deals start coming to you. It's like deals find the dry powder.
Yeah, and I think that's what everyone is trying to do right now. I think that's why Zuber is even, like I said, doing cash out refis to get in position to deploy a lot of money. And I kind of want to maybe slightly not pivot exactly, but it's along the same topics of the buy, borrow, die. But I saw Scott Trench and Jay Scott discussing something on Facebook, and they were talking about how Jay Scott believes that they're not going to be able to cut spending. The government, they've kind of proven that, right? With they brought up Doge and things like that, and there's so much pushback. And Scott Trench was looking at it from a standpoint like he's going to take all his tax hits now. Like he's going to get as close to his cash flow in a sense, and pay all his taxes and address that now, because he feels that the only way our government's going to work is to keep increasing taxes, to start figuring out ways to tax the wealthy, you know. So I think that was an interesting. So this whole buy, borrow, die strategies, you're trying to defer the taxes, but do you see at any point where the government's going to be like, let's get rid of the 1031, let's capital gains tax is going to be higher, things like that. So that's why Scott Trench is looking at it where I'm going to take it now because I just see things getting worse and worse down the road. So is that in any of you guys' thoughts or anything? Justin, maybe?
I think he's in a blue state. He's in Colorado, right?
Yes.
So that could be true. It's the same in Washington, because I always tell people this that are my investor clients is like, state of Washington thinks they're smarter with our money than they are. So what they're doing now is that there's the federal capital gains tax. Then they now charge 7%. I think if you make over 250, not income wise, but on that whatever you sell, there's an incremental 7% that Washington puts onto it. So more and more of these states who are not great at spending money, they're like, well, if we have no money, let's go borrow more money. And Seattle, or I should say Washington, just did this again. They just imposed like all this tax. And I was doing the math and I was like, they basically taxed, it was like $700-800 per person for the entire state because they needed more money for the budget. So now, specifically Scott Trench, I've met him a couple of times, and that guy's very like methodical, and he's more of a fund manager. He's got his cash, he's got his metals, his real estate, he's got stocks and bond, and he probably has every percentage dial in. My assumption is he's like, yeah, take that money now, repurpose it into a different asset class that is tax favored as well. So is my guess is what he's doing. But for me, like, I'm going to play by the rules that I know today. These are the 1031. This is the borrow till you die. So I'll ramp that up. If they change the law, then I have to restructure what I do to back to the tax code, figure out how the tax code is going to tell me how to operate and how not to pay taxes.
And Emily, talking on that, are you in any way, is Wyoming as red as it can be and you don't worry about taxes? I mean, I'm just joking, but it's a big difference there, right?
Yeah. Whatever problems we have are going to hit last. Yeah, whatever happens. I mean, people have been investing, people have been entrepreneurs, people have been in business as long as time goes back in history. And there's people that have succeeded and there's people that have not. And whatever rules change, whatever laws change, whatever evolution we have to make, we'll make it. And again, those that want to cry about it and use it as an excuse will, and those that want to evolve and make it work will. And so when changes come and when we get those punches, we just evolve with them. And it's like a good market. There's people making money in good markets. There's people making money in bad markets. And we survive through it. And you just keep doing what you're doing and adjusting as you need to. And so do what works now and then adjust when it doesn't.
So like I said, I brought that question up or topic on my weekly video with Zuber, and I gave Scott Trench's kind of view on it. But so if you want to know Zuber's, I'll touch on it. But if you want to know Zuber's kind of more in-depth thought on it, you got to check out the video I did with him. It's already out on Zuber's channel. But basically, to sum up what he said was he sees it completely in a different view from Scott Trench. He looks at it more that we're going to just have to grow our way out of it as a country. And he sees inflation and he sees assets increasing. So instead of Scott Trench, like Justin, you were saying, maybe selling things, paying the taxes, consolidating things, Zuber's looking at it where I'm going to I'm gonna double down and I'm accumulating more assets because he just sees inflation on the horizon, and as a country, we're gonna have to grow our way to pay all this interest and pay our debt, right?
And
Um,
ultimately, you need the assets, right? People need to eat. People need shelter. People need, what are the things that go away, right? Now, people might stop eating out when the economy gets bad, but they're still going to eat at home. So we're still going to have grocery stores. People might not get as fancy of a house, but they still need a house. And so there's certain things that even when things turn down, people are always going to need. Housing is one of those things. So I don't think that as long as you're cautious when you buy, that's ever going to be a bad investment. No one's going to ever, well, I get that there's people that are unhoused and people that struggle with that, but for the most part, that's not something that someone's going to choose not to prioritize their income as a place to put it.
Provestors does say 1031 has always been mentioned as a target for years. Yeah, absolutely. Like I mentioned, Brady Morgan, go check out his YouTube channel and his book that's on Amazon, Never Sell. He says you don't need a 1031 if you never sell. So that's going to bring up my next question. So we can maybe, does never sell build wealth or trap you in a mediocre asset? You want to go first, Emily?
I guess it could, but so then maybe you decide if you, well, first of all, you don't have to never sell. That's a strategy and you can use that when that works for you. But you also might determine you love me and Gus were actually we interviewed Dylan Osmond the other day, and he's got, I think, 200 and something rental properties between Arkansas and Mississippi and small towns. And he talks about the first property he bought, it cash flowed. I mean, it was a learning experience, but at the end it cash flowed. It made sense, but he had so much negative emotion tied to that property that he sold it. And then he went on and continued. He didn't go, I'm not investing anymore. That situation just sucked for him. And he did not want to keep that property. And so there may be properties that you do want to get rid of. Maybe financially it doesn't need to be gotten rid of, but you hate the neighbors or you hate the area or that house just burned you and you had a bad experience. So I think we as humans feel like everything has to be permanent. Someone's so worried to take a new job or someone's worried to move to this town. Okay, well, if it sucks, then move again or get a different job. And so you might think I'm going to hold on to things. My strategy is long-term buy and hold. But then this one really grinds your gears. It's okay to get rid of it. It doesn't necessarily have to be a financial decision that drives every choice you make. Part of it might be quality of life too. So yeah, hold on if that's what you want to do. But if that one's burning you, get rid of it. That's okay.
Before Justin maybe gives his thoughts on it, people might keep hearing us reference Gus O'Feely. He's an awesome agent in Maine, putting out some awesome content. Like I said, thank you for always setting up some interviews that we're doing. But there is his YouTube channel, which we're going to get rolling soon, and also his Instagram page. So go check him out there and subscribe. But Justin, yeah, do you have any thoughts on that? Does never sell build wealth or trap you in a mediocre asset?
I think it definitely builds the wealth. For me, if I was doing that out of the gate and I was focused on higher quality assets, then for sure I could do the never sell. But there's a good chunk of the ones I bought that are 120, 25 years old. So they're constantly having issues with the property. So I bought them, they've doubled. I'm trying to take that equity and redeploy it into newer assets. Now, those newer ones that I'm buying, knowing what I know today, those could be never sell models because they're a better asset to start with than the previous ones I had.
I'm not sure if Hyder is still in Gary, Indiana. I know he was there maybe last weekend, but he does say Millennial Mike says there are successful investors in every market during every market cycle.
Yep.
Very true. And I do, Brady is also in Wyoming. He says Wyoming is great for taxes. I believe first or second best in the country. And maybe Justin, you can quickly fill Emily in about your struggles with your sidewalk to nowhere, what you have to deal with in your area.
So to do this short plat, one of the requirements is they wanted me to get rid of a driveway that came off this main street because they're trying to get everyone to come off the other side street. So I had to literally dig up gravel, put dirt down, plant seed on it. Then I had to put in they want this main road to have sidewalks, and there's no sidewalks there today. So I had to put in this like 200 feet of sidewalk to nowhere. And to do that caused a bunch of other issues. One of them being is that where the sidewalk is, there's a telephone pole. So I had to move the telephone pole 10 feet, which cost me $15,000 to move the telephone pole and about 3 months to get the telephone company to move it over. And then separately, what I didn't know at the time is that Comcast had their lines on there. So even though they moved the telephone pole, they couldn't take the other pole out until Comcast took their lines off. So, and then the actual building of the sidewalks, the contractor had was bad. The first time they did it, didn't pass. And so they basically, I had to fire them and then hire a new company. But out of that, all the work that they did, I ended up losing all that, like 15,000. So, which you just reminded me, I still need to put them on blast in our local real estate group so no one uses them. But that, by having to put the sidewalk in, cost me like 9 months. So, and then probably 100K to put it in, at least 50K in holding cost. I mean, it totally took the project from positive to negative. And, but it's one of those learning. So basically I was supposed to be net positive when I sold the 2 existing, and then the new lot was going to be gravy on top of that. Now the new lot will be almost cover the loss on the short plat. So best case on this one is I break even.
Oh,
So, Justin, I know you have to probably run soon. So whenever you have to bounce, just leave. I'll just leave it at that. But
I'll have to explain
Yeah.
offline. I'm not at liberty right now.
Provester.
once you go.
Oh, so maybe before you go, then we'll have. I mean, me and Emily can answer some more questions after. But before you go, Justin, we can have Emily attempt to say the Hawaii state fish while you're here with us, then, Justin. Or somebody want to spell it? Maybe Justin can try and spell it. Then.
Oh, there's no way.
You want to give it a shot, Emily?
I have it in
Hey,
front of me.
That's cheating.
No, I mean the actual to read it.
Oh,
Humu, unu, kunu, kuapua.
not bad. That's pretty good. So the funny thing was, so a couple months back, we gave away tickets for the event in Vegas, and one of the I told people that you had to be able to pronounce the Hawaii state fish, and you could win a ticket. So I had people like sending me voice messages with them saying it. I think I still have it saved. So I have Flavio and Val. So I should put
a remix, like
yeah.
put it all together and like put it to dubstep music.
I should put it out on the live stream one day. But Provestors does say, yes, Gus is a great investor. Yeah, I totally agree. Curtis is asking, Curtis PE turned RE, who's still teaching, so I can never get him on the live streams. But we'll be doing something on January 31st, I believe. But he says, theoretically, could old people rack up credit cards before kicking the bucket?
100%.
Yeah.
However,
I mean that.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I mean they totally can get as many credit cards, buy whatever they want for their family and relatives, but because it's all in their personal name, so they would get it once you, what do you call that? Once they pass, then whatever assets they had they'd have to pay back that credit card debt.
Were you going to say something, Emily, on that, or?
I was just going to say, I think people get real comfortable with not caring about big companies. And it's like when people steal from Walmart and they say, oh, it's only Walmart, it wasn't a local mom and pop. That's still, at the end of the day, that is somebody's money that's not getting paid back. And so the ethics of that are, don't be a shitty person. That's at least my perspective. And if you commit to pay something, pay it, honor your word. And even though that's a big company, still not right. That's my 2 cents on it.
No, absolutely. I think the question more lays on it. Can an older person get credit card? That would be where that's where the question comes in,
And
right?
you don't have age discrimination. Even when somebody is 87 years old, they can still get a 30-year VA loan, right? They're not allowed to say, well, you're not going to last much longer. We're not giving you this loan. It's illegal. And so people will get, I have a friend who's a lender, and he'll have people come in that have millions of dollars in the bank and they don't want to spend it, and they get 30-year loans and they're super old, and they can. So absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's why it also comes. That's why you have to apply and show your income or how much, you know. So that's what it's going to come down to. But hey, Provester says let's go to Zippy's. Are you
What
have that? It's a restaurant in Hawaii. Oh, they have one in Vegas and stuff too now. Justin, did you go? Do you go there when you're here? Yeah.
I'm looking it
up. Let's see here. Anything else? I got nothing much else. Perfect excuse. Oh no, I don't know who Curtis is talking to. Does she like High Rocky Mountain Country? Wait, I can't. I'm trying to follow along on this chat. Sorry. Oh, here Flavio's asking Justin, is Seattle? You will be okay with your lot? Justin is Seattle.
It's Seattle. You'll be okay with your lot.
Oh, okay.
Probably he'll be able to sell it.
That's in Tacoma. It's an hour south. So not if that was in Seattle, yeah, the value is much higher.
Does Flavio need a bulletproof vest, Justin? He just messaged me. He's heading to Yakima.
To Yakima, no. Yakima's fine. I mean, if you're kind of the northeast side by the YMCA, that's kind of the better area. But if you're not in that area, you're going to be fine.
All right. Did you guys want to touch on anything before Justin has to go? I don't know. Is it enough time to talk about your agent stuff? I don't know. You got to go soon, yeah, Justin.
Yeah. She's going to come back in a couple minutes. She's hanging outside here.
Justin, do you have headphones on?
So I have headphones on, but there's a lady in here. She's mad at me.
What's going on? And it won't come back out on your volume on the back end.
Oh, yeah. She's not in here right now, so we can say whatever we want.
Yeah, so like you're on a cruise, right? And so you have he's in a shared
exactly here.
And somebody's upset and trying to come in. I don't know what the situation is, but he's got to leave because they want the business suite. So
don't say someone, say a Karen.
Yeah, she was mad at me and like, how long are you gonna talk in here? What are you doing talking in here? I'm like, it's a game room. Like, anybody.
You should bring it, start playing ping pong or something in there just to get off, but then do something more annoying.
Yeah, right.
Well, like I said,
I don't have anything else on here, but I'd love to have another chat with Emily about how we're using our agent income, active income, to grow our portfolio and how we manage teams and W-2 to freedom. Like, it does take a lot of time, but it does give you some the way you spend your time is much easier to do anywhere in the world. So that might be a future topic for us to
have.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, go follow Justin on Instagram and go check out his YouTube channel. He should be still streaming. So if you haven't, go subscribe there. He's also live streaming on Wednesdays at 8 a.m. Pacific with Cody Davis also now. So they're going to try and put out some content there. And Emily will be back on Wednesday, though. She won't be able to do next week, Friday. So she's going to join the Wacky Wednesday crew of me, Joe, and Lauren. And Emily and Justin will both be in Vegas. So if anyone wants to connect with them there, both of them will be in Vegas. I'm not sure. Justin, did you buy your stuff yet? I forget. Did you get your hotel and all that, your flight?
No hotel, no flight yet.
Man, you better hurry up, man. I think somebody messaged me the Grand is booked already, or it's online. There was no rooms available. So I don't know.
Valentine's Day weekend, you might want to.
And Backstreet Boys.
Well, that's probably the weekend.
There. Yeah, Van.
He just got attacked.
Yeah, she attacked you. But look what I got, Emily. I don't know. You might have got one. Look what Jennifer sent me.
Oh, that's cool. No, I didn't get one.
Yeah,
I'm not cool enough.
So I took a screenshot. I keep forgetting to send it out, but we'll get her back on also. She was a lot of fun. But yeah, if you guys don't got anything else, like I said, go subscribe to Justin's channel, Emily's channel. I'll be back tomorrow with Bitcoin Nick for my weekly wrap up, and Sunday me and Gus will be live streaming with 2 of his guests, so that'll be fun. But if everyone, thanks for tuning in and have a great weekend.